I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
This week's episode touches on some very sensitive subjects and is not meant for younger viewers. Is not meant for younger listeners, so please take this into consideration. If there are children in the car, we do not recommend listening to this with younger children in the car or in listening space. Also, if you are dealing with any of the issues that may be coming up during this episode and they may be triggering to you, it may be best to wait a week or two before listening to these to this episode. And also, this would be a wonderful time, and we highly encourage you to reach out for help at this time on these subjects. If you or a loved one, anyone that you care about in your life, is dealing with thoughts or feelings of suicide, then please reach out or have them reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Now that's for in America. I'm not sure if they also have that available in the United Kingdom or Canada or any other places that may be listening to this, but I know that those countries as well as other countries will have a suicide prevention hotline. Please go online and look them up. The best way to remember it is 1-800-273-TALK. There is also a number for the hard of hearing and the deaf, 1-800-799-4889. And there is also a way that you can chat if you go on suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can chat with them online if you don't feel like talking over the phone. If you're not having suicidal thoughts, but you are having thoughts of harming yourself that are non-suicide related, then you can text CONNECT, CONNECT, to 741-741, and you will be able to talk to someone through text. There are also crisis counselors available in most states through what they call warm lines, which are not for suicide, but are for people that are feeling like they are going to do self-harm. And finally, if you are dealing with eating disorders, then there is a helpline for this as well, 1-800-931-2237. Again, this is in America. Every country should have this, and most likely does have this. I just don't have those numbers, so please also feel free to reach out if you are need help with eating disorders. Unfortunately, the eating disorder hotline is only Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Friday, during normal business hours, 9 to 9, and closed on holidays, but there are other hotlines out there as well. Please reach out and receive the help you need. Please reach out, get the help that you need. People care about you.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked. ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs. Bare naked. We would never be naked when I was young. We showered with our clothes on. But I digress about my dress and returned to redress our address to our guests. And this week, I welcome my co-host, Michelle.
Hello.
And unfortunately, we are without Aaron this week, as we will be discussing the song Everything Old is New Again. Now, we are not talking about the Peter Allen song from the play All That Jazz.
Everything old is new.
No.
Which is an excellent song in and of itself. But we are not talking about that song.
No.
And even though I liked it when Wolverine sang it on Broadway,
No need to remember when, 'cause everything old is new again.
we're not doing that one. But I'm going to ask Aaron, and we don't have him this week, but I am going to plug him in here. I want to know if he can figure out what album this song comes from. Aaron, first and foremost, before we even get going on your analysis, what album does this come from?
So my thoughts were, obviously Steven is singing, so it's got to be Phase 1 BNL. It sounds a little more polished than Gordon, but not quite as slick as Stunt. So my guess is Maybe You Should Drive.
You got it.
Excellent.
In one try. Nicely done.
I don't know enough of Born on a Pirate Ship to be comfortable knowing if I was kind of torn, but I figured I was a little more familiar with the stuff on this album, so that's where I went. But turned out to be correct. That was good.
That's good. And now that we're back, this song was off from Maybe You Should Drive from 1994.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, Michelle, this is one of your favorite albums.
I came into it late, but it definitely is one of my favorites. Yeah.
And this is a Paige Duffy song.
The Paige Duffy pairing is always magic to me. Like, to me, those songs hit me where I live and where I feel. So I don't usually do a lot of research, as is probably obvious to all of our listeners. I just go with my gut on most of this stuff. This song has always been such a strong song for me that I did some research, and I'm like, of course it's a Duffy Page production. Of course it is. So, yeah.
I usually like the Duffy Page productions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see where it ends up later on, but I have to say, I don't think Bare Naked Ladies likes this song very much.
Really?
They've never come out and said anything. However, they have only, according to Setlist FM, they have only ever played this song 10 times in concert in their 30 years.
Really?
That is a lot of missed opportunities to play the song.
I was going to say, that's a lot of time to not play this. That's a lot of...
There's flutes and saxophones, but they do that in a lot of their other songs and then leave it off and they pare it down for the concert. They have been, I would say, actively avoiding this song in their repetitions.
Interesting.
I mean, you can't say it any other way if you've only hit it 10 times in 30 years.
And it's really good. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's one of their classics, really.
I'm going to say that I would agree with them on this one, but we'll get to my rating later on.
Oh my God.
Matter of fact, we're going to cut right now to Aaron's musical breakdown.
There we go.
And have him break this song down.
Okay.
But before we do that, I do have a couple of questions that I want him to answer.
Okay.
The beat is a different beat. I want him to talk a lot more about the beat this week. And I'm going to ask him specifically to talk about the beat with this song. And also, I want to know more about especially in the last chorus, if there is disharmony in the different groups of the instruments. I feel like the flutes and the piano and the piccolo are playing a disharmonious chord versus the singer and the bass player and the guitar on that last, but even as it builds throughout the song on those choruses, it feels like they're getting more, there's something odd and different and not conjoining on those.
Which is totally perfect for the nature of the song.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to look at it that way, it just takes their genius even a level higher than it already is. You know what I mean?
I'm going to hand it over to Aaron now.
Okay.
And let him take over.
I'm learning.
Before we get going, our friends over at It's All Been Done podcast asked a question during their covering of this song that I wanted to make sure that I answered because they actually threw it out to us to answer it.
Sure.
They weren't sure if it was a tuba playing with the brass and piccolo and flute during the chorus. It sounds like a tuba, but they said it's not listed in the liner notes. After listening to this song several times just to answer this question, and then reading the liner notes,
it could be a French horn.
It's actually Neil Nicholson on the tuba.
It is a tuba. Okay, I figured there was a nice deep, brassy sound. You know, it's hard to mistake that for anything else.
Ed, so we have Ed on acoustic, pedal, steel guitar, and interestingly enough, bass drum. We have Andy on piano, accordion, cymbals, reed organ. Tyler on drums and snare drum. Jim on the double bass. Paul Barron on trumpet. Caroline Ricchetto on flute and piccolo. And Colin Weinmeister on trombone. To their credit, though, to give some credit to It's All Been Done, the liner notes are very, very difficult to read on this album. Because of the font and the color that they used. So I almost missed it when I was going through it. So break it down for us, Aaron.
Break down. Aaron's gonna talk about chord structure and time.
What key is this in?
Well, I can't really tell you what key it's in. I can tell you what keys it's in. The majority of the song is in B-flat major. And I have to admit, this song actually was a little bit of work. At first, for some reason, I think just because of the seeming, maybe because of the key change, because there's a key change in the bridge, maybe because of the seeming pull of some of what I felt was the tonic. The fact that they're very heavy on the 5 chord in the song, even almost more so than the 1. At first, I was thinking it was in F sharp Mixolydian, which I was like pulling my hair out because I was like, that's really odd. I'm like, well, I guess the Beatles did some stuff in Mixolydian, like Norwegian Wood and stuff like that, and it kind of sounds Beatlesy. You know, to me, this really sounded like Sgt. Pepper's. You know what I mean? Because there's with the big band elements and stuff like that, and the horns and the bounciness. It very almost sounded like being for the benefit of Mr. Kite or something like that. So at first I was like, wow, maybe this is in. You know, it's like it seems to be an F sharp, but it's definitely not minor. But there's a flat 7, and I was like, well, maybe it's Mixolydian. And then as I was like looking at the chords, I'm like, this is all wrong. That can't be right. And then I realized, oh, okay, so it's actually just in B flat major. It's a lot simpler than I thought, but there is this really cool key change in the bridge, which actually it changes up to G flat minor, which is so funny because I thought it was an F sharp the entire song. So the thing is, I'll be honest, I hate sharp keys. I'm a guy who, I learned, I'm a drummer first and foremost and a singer. As soon as the first instrument I learned to any real talent was a keyboard, and the first thing you learn on a keyboard is the C major scale, because that's all white keys, right? And then A minor, because the relative major of C, it's all white keys. Then you got to start bringing in the black keys. And for me, I learned all the flat keys first. I learned, like B flat blues, E flat blues, all these pentatonic and blues scales and stuff, and they're all using flats. For whatever reason, whenever I had to play a song in a sharp key, I was always like, "Oh, wait, no, that," because I still think of the flat keys. I just said it. I think of the black keys on a keyboard as flats. That's like the default mode for me. So to have to like go the other way and attack them the other direction, I'm like, wait, no, that's not technically G flat. That's F sharp. It's the same damn key, same note, but we refer to it differently because it's a sharp scale. So for me, sharp scales are a nightmare. Might have been why I had so much trouble with this one. But, and this is almost every single note is sharp in this scale. There's like two naturals. So, wow. It was interesting for me. So, but, and also this is not one of the songs. Occasionally I admit I have cheated and like looked up and been like, hey, does anyone know what key this song is? I haven't asked like that, but I've like Googled and tried to find if there's an analysis of this, or like there's like maybe chords. A lot of time you can't really rely on chords that are posted online, because they'll be like, play these chords structures with your fingers on the guitar, but use a capo. So it's not really. I mean, I guess you could you could transpose at that point, but yeah. So this is not one of the ones that there was a lot of information out there. I could find the lyrics, and that was pretty much it. And I think maybe I found a couple of chord analysis that were from the guitar perspective that were totally not what I was listening to and not what I was hearing. So I was like, okay, I have to do this on my own, and it's a key that I hate. So it took me a while, but it was an interesting experience. And the cool thing is that I really kind of liked the song a lot more when I finished my analysis, because you know me, I love programmatic music. I like music that is... there are things musically in this song that kind of illustrate points that are related to the lyrics. And it really made me appreciate it a lot more by the end. So, all that to say, key of B flat major to start off with, and for the most of the song. The intro is just bouncing between the 5 and the 1. The verse is 5-1-5-2-5. The pre-chorus is 6-2-5-2-1. 6-2-5-2-1, and then turn around 2-5-4. And that sets you up to go into the chorus as you go from the 4 down to the 1. The chorus is 1-5-4, 1-5-6, 4-1, 5-1-5, 7-2, and then the turnaround.
Whoa!
4-1. Oh man, it's a 4-1, 4-1-4, 5-1. So it's don't be
nothing simple about this song.
Well, it's deceptive, because the majority of this song is like a 2-5-1 turnaround, or a 1-4-5, 1-5-4. It's all very much based in convention, in musical convention. But there is a little more complexity layered on top of there. There's definitely, like, we're getting the 2-6-5-1. There's a lot of jazz arrangement here, and there's a lot of jazz phraseology. We go to the bridge, and that's when it really kind of gets a little more complex as a song. We're shifting the key. We have a key change to the G flat minor, ending with a 2-5-1 turnaround, which is really brilliant. Works perfectly to bring us back into the chorus, because the tonic for this key is actually the 5th degree for our main B major scale, and not into the chorus, into the verse, I should say. And if you recall, the verse starts with the 5. So we're going, it's like 2-5-1, but then that 1 is really also the 5 of the initial keys. We're 5-1-5, we go back into that. So that's why it works so well, and it's a really, really beautifully done change. So we have the intro, which is kind of the A chord, the A chords. It's just 5-1-5-1 bouncing back and forth. The verse is pretty much that, with an extra, like a 2 thrown in here. So you have A for verse 1, pre-chorus, which is B, and then the chorus, which is C. And then we have verse 2, which is A, pre-chorus B, chorus C. Then we have that bridge with the change to the G flat minor, which is D. Verse 3, A, pre-chorus B, chorus C. And we end on the pre-chorus, interestingly enough. We bounce from the chorus back into the pre-chorus, which was a little, I don't want to say jarring, but unexpected, and kind of an interesting way to end it. So you have A, B, C, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, B, ab, cab, cadab, cab. I sound like a weird magician. But yeah, definitely getting bits of Sgt. Pepper's with the instrumentation and arrangement. I really like the melody. It's really cool. The lyrics are one of the most interesting parts to my mind. I think that there's a lot of interesting things that you could go and get in there with analysis for, like, people who are maybe experiencing depression, kind of using each other as emotional crutches to try and help each other out, going through the cycles of getting out of it, climbing out, then falling back in, climbing out and falling back in. This is a recurring theme we're hearing from Steven, definitely. And it's a song that it's not that I never disliked this song, but I went from just kind of liking it to really liking it quite a bit by the end of my analysis. And a lot of that had to do with, the programmatic nature of what they're doing musically and how that aligns with what they're saying in the lyrics, especially in the bridge, where the bridge gets kind of dark and you go from a major key to a minor key. And that's it's kind of really illustrative of what they're trying to say. So, yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit.
So here's one of the questions that I have for you.
Sure.
That last chorus that we have, especially the piccolo and flute and piano versus all the other instruments and the singer, are they playing different keys? Is there something disharmonious that is there between those two sets of groups of instruments, I guess is the way to put it.
So at what point in the song are you talking about?
The last chorus.
I mean,
it's kind of building throughout it, but it's whenever the woodwinds in the brass come in, but it's especially more noticeable in the last one.
Yeah, there's nothing that's being played that is atonal or outside of the key. There's nothing dissonant there, but the piano is definitely doing some runs with passing tones. There's a lot of notes happening at once, so it's very easy to perceive some dissonance or to kind of hear something that's slightly less harmonious in the way we'd think of it. Or even, again, going back to the programmatic nature of the music, trying to illustrate like kind of a cacophony maybe, because again, with like those Beatles songs like on Sgt. Pepper's and such, or even I'm thinking now of Radiohead, the national anthem, where they have the crazy brass and everything playing at the end and woodwinds and everything's kind of screaming. That is a lot more straightforward dissonant or atonality there, dissonance or atonality. But this is everything that I was hearing was in the key, but it's very busy and maybe a little bit of like illustrating anxiety there musically.
Yeah, well, it definitely caused me anxiety listening to it. Like there was something about that part that I just immediately disliked.
Yep.
It just rubbed me the wrong way in listening to it. So
okay,
I was like, well, Aaron will understand that a lot better than I will listening to that. I can just know I don't like it.
It's certainly not a restful sounding passage.
It's probably not meant to.
Yeah,
be.
exactly. Yeah.
So, I'm going to send this to Aaron. Tyler was not happy during the production of this album. He was very upset during the production of this album, according to the B&L biography. Ben Mink had him playing with a metronome on his ears, and would also he would take him, and I want to say this is one of those songs that he did this with him on. There's nothing saying it's this particular song that I found. But it feels like this may be one of those songs. He would do a number of takes for Tyler, and then he would go in and he would splice what he wanted it to sound like and cut and repeat them. So he had the continuous repeat sound for Tyler and use a lot of different takes together to make it sound the way he wanted it to sound. To say that Tyler felt controlled would be understating it. As a matter of fact, Tyler had some pretty strong words in the biography when he was talking about his time on the production of this
Interesting.
album.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that because I recall when I was studying music at UMA, I played in a band with Chuck Winfield, who was one of my professors, and he used to be the trumpet player for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And that was really cool, especially because I got to perform in a concert with him. We played some funk. We played like Gibraltar. So I'm sitting there drumming on a funk song, playing with the trumpet player for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But I hated that band. I was in so many bands, because when you're in a music school, you're in like a different band or two every semester as part of your classes, right? So I was in like a Latin band. I was in several jazz bands. I was in a jazz combo. I was in several choruses, jazz choruses, a barbershop quartet, a progressive rock band. These are all classes I took, which is really cool, But that was the one band that I hated playing in the most because he would pull out the damn metronome every time, and I had to play. The thing is, if it was a classical school, if I was at Juilliard, I would have expected this, right? But this is jazz. We're supposed to be free, and we're supposed to be able to kind of flow and put your emotion into it. Now I get it that playing with emotional content does not necessarily transfer over into rushing and dragging. And there's a whole scene or several scenes in the movie Whiplash, which my fellow jazz drummers can probably relate to. But even J.K. Simmons in Whiplash didn't have a metronome. He just knew the time. So there was nothing worse than that metronome. I hated it. So I totally feel empathy for Tyler. Yeah, this song is about 97 beats per minute, so I'm sure they probably had him very precisely playing that. But yeah, I have empathy there. I'm sure that couldn't have been a lot of fun. Now, interestingly enough, in the newer stuff, we see it's exactly on time, so they're probably either using electronic drums or they're quantizing him using MIDI or something. I'm sure he's probably gotten used to it over the time, but this might have been the first album where he had to do that, and that was probably... He probably felt a little restrained by that, which I can relate to.
That would be the way to put it, yeah.
The polite way?
That's the polite way to put it. It's also interesting, and I don't know why they did this, and I think this might be one of those things that is making me upset, making me not like it. I love Ed playing the drums, don't get me wrong. I don't like it when you have 3 different people playing percussion on the same song, and my guess is not in the studio at the same time. So you have Tyler playing some of the percussion. He's on snare, he's on drums. You have Andy playing some of the percussion, and then you have Ed playing the bass drum. And when you have 3 different people playing the same song I just feel like different rhythms most likely. You're going to be playing around with the music a lot. It's going to feel worked. And I get the feeling that this song feels very worked. There's something that feels off for me about this song.
Maybe that's why they don't play it, because they just don't have happy memories of making it.
No, I think there were a lot of unhappy memories of this whole album for the most part. Matter of fact, they have been reported as saying in the biography that they were exhausted because they had just come off Gordon, had just done the tour for Gordon, and none of them were feeling funny during the recording of this album. This is also the album where Andy was thinking of leaving and was vocal about thinking about leaving, and the band encouraged him in good ways, encouraged him to stick around through the album and then through the process of touring for this album. But he was on his way out. He wasn't totally happy with where things were at currently with himself and the band and with what he was wanting to do with music. And we see that more later when he goes back to do the Brothers Creaking albums with his brother.
Yeah.
So to say this is a bad time for BNL is to put it lightly. This was a really tough, rough year for them. And I think this is one of those songs where it kind of sinks through.
I love this song. I love the album, but like I said, I came into the album late. And I think I was listening to this after Stunt and Maroon. Like, it was in 2000, like late 99, 2000 that I really got into this album and just started listening to the whole album. I just love it. To me, I have one sentence that sums up how I feel about this song. And this kind of shows my approach to what I like about this band. And I listen to it from an emotional point of view, or how it makes me feel. This song, for me, expresses exactly what it was like to be a 20-year-old in the 90s. To me, It's everything about it. That's your 20s. That's how it was in the 90s. The whole everything, like the emotional turmoil and the messed up relationships and the trying to make something real that isn't, and the eating disorders and this, the potential threat of suicide. Not that that was something of mine personally. And I want to say, if anybody out there listening is having suicidal thoughts, I want you still to be here. So please reach out, get some help. We need you to stay here. But this song kind of touches on that. And it so represents what it means to be Gen X and what it was to be that age in the 90s and just being an adult latchkey kid and trying to get through the process. And I just feel like it's such a perfect representation of that. I can't not love it. And it's a bummer to hear that they didn't have a great time recording it, because it's such a powerful song, I feel. To me, it's a powerful song, and it's a bummer that they may not love it.
And I don't know that they don't love it. So that's me projecting into them. But I also like that 10 times in 30 years does say something. I don't know if it says they just don't like it or it's too hard for them to play in concert because it's too many different things going on. I don't know.
To me, it's just a walk down memory lane, I guess. And just like, yep, it's about being seen and feeling like that's exactly right, Stephen. That's exactly right. Like it's another level of connection. Like that's somebody who totally gets it, has messed up relationships and nothing is really working and just trying to get through each day and just trying to get through our 20s, you know? And to me, that's what the song is. So yeah, that's really it. I don't really have much more to say about it.
I wanted to like this song.
So
I really did.
Yeah.
And when it hit, there was something within the first 30 seconds of the song that immediately rankled me. And I didn't know why. I'm like, okay, the more times I listen to the song, it's going to wear off. But also as the song went on, it hit me like that feeling of not liking it hit me harder. There are just some songs that the more times you listen to them, the more you like them. This worked in the exact opposite direction in that I couldn't like it as much as I wanted to. I tried to listen for the complexity and like it for that. I tried to go with the emotion. No matter what I tried, I couldn't connect into the music of this song. And so the more I listened to it, I tried to kind of pull it out. Was I missing the guitar? Was I missing Andy in the song? No, they're all in there. I like the piano and the guitar when they come in. I like the flutes, the piccolos, the brass. It reminded me very much of the Beatles, especially Sgt. Pepper's Beatles, and that kind of just that feeling of wall of sound. I like the third verse and the final line of the song for completely different reasons. So like the last line of the song, I liked it because of the simplicity. And I felt like that served the song much better, that simplicity of that last line. The third verse I love because of the harmoniousness and the complexity of it. But all of the instruments seem to be working together and playing the same song. And also it's slightly faster than the beginning of the song. And I think that's one of the things that hit me really early on is that if you have a strong bass and a strong drum, and then it's any slower and it would have been fine, any faster and it would have been fine. It was right in that middle ground where I was like, I wanted it to be more driving, and it wasn't. And I was like, I could feel my body on the third time listening to it moving forward like a train, trying to push the drum to play faster.
That's interesting.
And I think that's where it was. I think that was that rankled me that little bit to set me off. And then by the time it did pick up enough speed that I was feeling comfortable and the other instruments came in, so it blended the drum and bass a little more. Then they started playing disharmoniously. And that's when I was like, and it never settled for me. I would love to hear a version of this done on the Bathroom Sessions to see what it sounds like.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a simple guitar, just Ed and Steve. I would really love that. However, I have to say, and I avoid using this word most of the time, and you're going to hear me say today, I venomously hate the bridge. I normally like off rhythm stuff. Last week I loved Steven singing off rhythm and with a different cadence. Whatever it is that Ed is doing during this bridge, I think it powered all that other anger and hate. It was like that river of slime in the bottom of Ghostbusters 2. Boiled everything.
Would you say this song is your Another Postcard?
It's feeling like it. It won't end up being that low because I hate the music. I absolutely love the lyrics.
The lyrics are genius.
They are. And I will also say that the chorus was very catchy. I caught myself a number of times during the week like humming the chorus as I'm walking through work. So it is a very catchy chorus, especially the first two renditions of it before it gets disharmonious. I love the lyrics. I love the poetry that Stephen and Stephen do with this song. I wish this was put to a different musical number or the instruments were composed differently. because then this would probably go from the number I'm going to end up giving it to like a 4 or a 5 immediately. I think even just trimming it down to just a guitar, a simple bass, a snare with cymbals, and just a simple bass line, I would be like all over this song. It just does, the music totally doesn't work for me.
That's so interesting.
Let's talk about the song a little bit, the lyrics of the song.
Yes.
Stephen, either you had some really challenging relationships when you were in your 20s, or you knew some people that had really challenging relationships in your 20s. Just
surviving my 20s, like, damn, it was hard. It was,
yeah.
I mean, I think it is for everyone, but I feel like especially in the 90s, you know, because we were kind of before technology, before things were easy. You know, it was a different world, and just trying to figure out how to, I think it is for anybody, even people nowadays. People have to figure out how to live in the world. And I don't know if that experience is the same where kids can still be on their parents' insurance till they're 26. And I'm not knocking the millennials at all. But for us, it was like, you're 18, you're out the door. You know what I mean? Like, it was a whole different thing. Like, you got to figure it out. You're going to choose between milk or toilet paper. What's in your budget? You know what I mean? Like, we're eating ramen noodles for the week. And I think for me, like, some of the lyrics, and this is not even specific, like, I don't take it literally, although you could totally take it literally. Everything old is new again, everything under the sun. Now that I'm back with you again, we hug and we kiss, we sit and make lists, we drink and I bandage your wrists. I mean, you could take that literally, but also it's totally representative of like trying to make it through your 20s, trying to figure it out. Okay, we've had some setbacks. Let's make a list. Let's figure this out. I'll help you. What can we do? Yeah. You know, it's just, it totally captures that bare bones living and having all these aspirations and wanting all this greatness for yourself and wanting to find your soulmate or wanting to connect with people and just struggling through. And it's a struggle. Every day is a struggle. And I just feel like this song represents that so perfectly.
Well, and that first relationship that we have, that first love that we have, we continue to relive that as a human experience of reliving it over and over again until we learn the mistakes and the differences of those relationships. And whether he is metaphorically reliving this relationship through a number of different relationships, or he keeps going back to this one same relationship over and over again, it is that early experience of dating and having serious relationships, of things being unhealthy, wanting to still be in a relationship with someone that you love, but it's not healthy for you and not the right connection for you, learning that you can love people that aren't right for you, and then eventually moving on, but not being ready to move on either. And that's what this song is really all about.
Oh my God. And spinning your wheels and trying to make a bad situation right. Like when at the part where he says, but when I say I love her, she thinks I'm telling lies. Is it all lost? No, we never had it. Like, that's so friggin' perfect.
Yeah.
Every word in this song is perfect literally and also perfect metaphorically. And I just, that's what I love about this song. And I think the unrest in the music represents that. It represents the growing pains that we all have to go through to like actually become an adult.
Yeah. I just don't think I could connect. Like, there was something about it that rankled me for some reason.
And I honor that because God knows I've got my songs that I am rankled by. And
there are some songs that are programmatic like that. There's that Beatles song that I really love that is programmatic and that it's trying to make you feel that way, and I love it because of it. For some reason, I just couldn't get behind it with this one. And I wanted to. I really seriously kept wanting to listen to it and love it.
And that's the part that is a bummer. Like when you want to like it. It's not like, I don't care about this, whatever, it is what it is. Like, you can give it your rating and call it whatever it is, and it is what it is. But when you want to like it, but it's like the Juno Awards with the camera shots. They kept showing that woman in the audience. Pardon my language. You can beep that out.
I will. Yoko just walked into the studio. We're good.
Like, we don't care about the audience. How stupid are you cameraman? Show the band. I want a tight shot of Ed and Steve, and I want to see what's going on. I need to be able to read the situation. Give me what I want. And so that disappointment, like, I feel it's a bummer when you want something and you're expecting it to be something, and then you can't make the round peg fit in the square hole, or vice versa.
Right.
And that's a buzzkill.
It is.
I'm sorry, Tracy.
That's okay. And the thing that made me want to like it so much was the lyrics. By the way, I agree with you that I am very concerned about the significant other that's in this song. I'm hoping that it was a fictional kind of situation. If not, I hope this person got help and got healthy, because we're talking about some serious problems here. We're talking about non-suicidal self-injury and that she's cutting and needs her wrist bandage. We're talking about either bulimia or anorexia, in that she is losing weight to a very unhealthy level, down to the bone, and still losing weight. And there's a good chance that the way that it's worded in the song, that she's doing that in order to pull the narrator back into the relationship. And in some ways that's even sadder, because that's the early signs of a personality disorder. And so it's very sad. So I'm hoping that person, if it was based on a real person, did get some help. At the end of the show, if you do suffer from depression or anxiety to the point that you're doing non-suicidal self-injury or have any kind of eating disorders, we will be listing the phone numbers. So please do reach out for help from either the suicide helpline or the self-harm text hotline. I'll leave those numbers at the end. I'll also put it in our web notes.
Nice.
Please do reach out and get help.
Yeah. Well, and I think along with that, the line, all of our fears come true again, recycle, reuse, resent, and refuse our parents' ideals and views. Like, no matter how much you're like, yeah, my parents are screwed up and they don't know anything, you still replay all the bullshit. You're trapped. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how much you think you're on top of the crap, you don't even know how deeply it affects you. So, I mean, this is such an interesting psychological study, and just all that processing that you do in your 20s, trying to figure out who you are away from your birth family or your family of origin. So I just feel like there's so many interesting aspects to this song, whether it's yourself or somebody that you know what I mean? But sorry to jump on what you were saying, because it's important. I'm glad that you can space it out, but it's important that if people need help, they have the access to get help. And so I'm glad you're going to post the numbers, because we want all of our listeners to be, if they're not happy, at least to be okay.
Yes, to be healthy, because eventually pain does subside. Eventually the wave does crash and we do heal, but we need people there to support us until that happens. So, please reach out. If you don't have the people in your life, reach out to people who are there and want to be there through these hotlines to be supports in your life until that wave crashes and things can start to heal again. And can help you make that journey.
Exactly.
So speaking of numbers, on that somber note, let's bring it to our numbers for this song, which is probably going to end up being another somber note, I hate to say.
That's okay. I'll, just because of how strongly I connect with a certain phase of my life with this song, the rating is Gen Xers. How many Gen Xers are we going to give this song? And
I like it.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so, like, all of the latchkey kids from the 70s, and we're teenagers in the 80s, and we're in our 20s in the 90s. we're wearing our goth t-shirts and we've all dyed our hair black and we're wearing black lipstick and we're, listening to the Smiths and et cetera, and The Cure and Bare Naked Ladies. Like this, fits right into that.
Oh yeah.
Certain stuff, Steven's stuff does. So that's why I went with Gen Xers. But I love this song. It's not a happy song, but it's a true song. It's true. The song is true on an emotional level, and I love it. Not as much as Conventioneers, but really damn close. So I give it a 4.8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You really like this song.
And it's not that I would listen to it every, I may not go to seek it out, but when it plays, it's like, oh yeah. It's like a mirror. Like, yes, I see this. You know what it is? It's like a touch point, like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Look how far I've come. So it's more of that sort of a thing. So, Tracy.
Well, it hits you deep like Break Your Heart.
Oh,
it has that deep,
yes,
emotion-crushing piece for you, like Break Your Heart, where you don't want to listen to it every day.
When you need to feel
feels.
something and process your feelings, like put that on and just let it rip. Yeah. So, I've given it my score. I would love to know what you give it, Tracy. How many Gen Xers do you give Everything Old is New Again?
I hate it now, hate it and then.
All right. There is nothing I don't like about this lyrically. It is a great effort from Steven and Steven. This is our version of even Steven. But there's just that thing musically that I just can't get behind. I wish I could say what it is. To me, this is a slower and darker version of Enid. And I like Enid a lot more.
And maybe it's about the same person.
I could see that it definitely is possible that it is. Like, there's a lot of similar themes that keep coming back on with this song. There were themes that were mentioned throughout the song that brought up Enid immediately when I was thinking of it.
Yeah.
I think also this song falls on the album between An Alternative Girlfriend, and then followed up by Am I the Only One? Like, that's not a good place to put this song, in my opinion, because it weakens it in comparison. So my rating for this, unfortunately, and it would be much, much lower if it weren't for the lyrics, is a 2.5.
Wow. Well, that's not, I mean, that's right in the middle.
Yeah.
As Aaron would say.
That is completely and totally the music. In terms of, like, if I'm splitting the ratings down the middle, it's a 0 for music and it's a 2.5 for the lyrics.
Oh, that's hilarious. I can't wait to hear what Aaron gives this.
So, what is your rating? How many Gen Xers do you give this song?
Ooh, how many Gen Xers? I give Everything Old is New Again 3.9 Gen Xers. I think it's quite good. It's not quite up to a 4 for me. There's stuff like Box Set and Be My Yoko Ono and Break Your Heart. Those are songs that I think are just fantastic. This is right up there, though. I certainly like this. Again, it's the kind of song that rewards repeated listens and rewards the kind of person who sits down and listens to it with headphones on and just sort of like has the lyrics in front of them while they're listening to it. It's a really gorgeous song, and it has a lot of meaning for me. Once I kind of listened to the lyrics, I appreciated it a lot more. It's not one of my absolute all-time favorites, but it's really bumping up against that threshold. So I guess we're kind of all over the map on this one, which I like. That's cool. We usually are not necessarily in lockstep. There might be like one dissenter, the dissenting a Supreme Court opinion, and then
oh yeah.
But this time we're just all, we got a 2, a 3, and a 4.
You came in right in the middle between Michelle and I.
Yeah. So I like it. Don't love it, but I like it quite a bit. So
all right.
Good song. Very, very interesting song, musically speaking, and some quite interesting and impactful emotional lyrics.
Speaking of seeing things, what do you have for appearances?
I have several appearances this week.
Okay.
It's interesting. They only ever played this in concert 10 times, but I have 4 of those recorded on the internet.
Nice.
So we're able to find 4 different versions of this. So if you love this song, then this is a great chance to go out and listen to them doing this live. There's one from 1994 when they were on Intimate and Interactive for Much Music TV in Canada. There is them doing this song on the Ships and Dips 3 tour in 2008.
Nice.
There's also, and I want to say this is from one of their early years, them doing a private concert at their management headquarters in Vancouver. Unfortunately, the audio is not great on that one. And then finally, there is a copy of them where it was recorded from their tour, Everything for Everyone tour, when they recorded every single show on the tour and then set it up to be sold for people. If they saw the tour, they could buy it online. So there is a copy of them doing it in Canada, Ontario. I know I messed that up. In February 24th, 2004. So there's 4 different versions, even though they've only played this 10 times in concert.
So we just need the other 6.
That's right. I can't find them yet, but I will. So I think that the singer of this song keeps falling back into relationships because of relationship inertia. But I feel like that we kind of did the same thing today. Last week we varied things up a little and it didn't work. So this week we sort of just fell back into our old patterns. And switching things up so much last week, everything old became new again this week. But I feel like we are just falling back on our laurels. We deserve a hearty handshake for trying something new. And maybe... Sorry, I had to get that in there. Nice old day joke there. And maybe we should continue to look for small ways that we can change things up, but maybe we should just stop discussing just the songs on albums. And maybe next week we should discuss a song that didn't make it onto an album or become a B-side. What do you say? Do you think we should try something a little different and do one that's not an album?
Sure, why not?
Well, can you think of any songs that haven't been on an album lately that we can fall back on?
What about Fall Back?
So next week we will be discussing the song Fall Back On, which appears on no albums, and we'll talk more about that then.
I can't wait. That's going to be exciting. And maybe we'll fall back on our normal closer scores.
There we go.
We'll have a meeting ground. Although we're all allowed to...
We'll fall back in line.
We'll fall back in line. There we go. That sounds good.
Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. It was a pleasure. It was an interesting... It's so funny because it just shows you that music speaks differently to everyone, and we all can have different opinions, but we can all still get along.
That's right. And we can have a good discussion about it and have fun.
Yes. And that's what we should fall back on. I just had to get in on it. Sorry.
Well, thank you very much, our listeners, for listening to us.
I hope you have a great week.
See you next time, folks.
It's how it is, and I'll see you later. Everything old is new again.
If you or a loved one, anyone that you care about in your life, is dealing with thoughts or feelings of suicide, then please reach out or have them reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 1-800-273-8255. Now that's for in America. I'm not sure if they also have that available in the United Kingdom or Canada or any other places that may be listening to this. But I know that those countries, as well as other countries, will have a suicide prevention hotline. Please go online and look them up. The best way to remember it is 1-800-273-TALK. There is also a number for the hard of hearing and the deaf, 1-800-799-4889. And there is also a way that you can chat if you go on suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can chat with them online if you don't feel like talking over the phone. If you're not having suicidal thoughts, but you are having thoughts of harming yourself that are non-suicidal related, then you can text CONNECT, CONNECT, to 741-741, and you will be able to talk to someone through text. There are also crisis counselors available in most states through what they call warm lines, which are not for suicide, but are for people that are feeling like they are going to do self-harm. And finally, if you are dealing with eating disorders, then there's a helpline for this as well, 1-800-931-2237. Again, this is in America, and every country should have this, and most likely does have this. I just don't have those numbers, so please also feel free to reach out if you are need help with eating disorders. Unfortunately, the eating disorder hotline is only Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Friday, during normal business hours, 9 to 9, and closed on holidays, but there are other hotlines out there as well. Please reach out and receive the help you need. Please reach out, get the help that you need. People care about you.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.